Welcome to the GAMERamble video review for Professor Lupo and his horrible pets, narrated by me, Darkcloud. As always, the full text version of this review can be found on the GAMERamble website linked below. The TLDR is that Professor Lupo and his horrible pets is a fast-paced puzzle game with a great story and interesting enemies to outsmart. Playing as an intern trying to escape a doomed space station overrun by deadly alien pets is a lot of fun, and the solid narrative elements make it even better. The game also features a surprising amount of content and can keep players busy for a long time. Some more variety for the environments would have been nice, but the great monster designs make up for this, and their varied behaviors keeps things fresh. Overall, this is one of our favorite puzzle games of the year, and a must-have for any fan of the genre. Gameplay receives a 10 out of 10. The game features 5 chapters with 100 challenging but entertaining levels to conquer. Graphics receives a 9 out of 10. The hand-drawn visuals and the monster designs are neat. Sound receives a 9 out of 10. The audio is well-rounded with a great soundtrack, decent sound effects and even full voice acting. The overall score for Professor Lupo and his horrible pets is 9.3 out of 10. And now for the full review. Being an intern is a pretty thankless job at the best of times, but even more so on board the Aurora space station. The station is run by a space scientist named Professor Lupo, who has no qualms about using the intern as bait for his collection of aliens. These aliens come in all shapes and sizes, but have one thing in common: they are exceptionally deadly. As the game opens, Lupo is attempting to sell some of his horrible pets to the highest bidder to be used as weapons. However, the station is attacked by unknown forces before the bidding can begin. This attack leaves the unnamed intern with the unenviable task of navigating a space station full of deadly aliens running loose as he attempts to reach an escape pod in time. Plato, the AI computer of the station, assures the intern that the odds of this escape attempt actually succeeding are very low, but the alternatives are not much better. This means that players will have to help the intern stay alive long enough to leave the station, and hopefully learn more about what is going on along the way. Professor Lupo and his horrible pets is a narrative-focused puzzle adventure developed by Beautifun Games, the indie studio behind the rather brilliant Nylumbra a few years back. The intern is not exactly the most physically fit of people, and clearly his job did not require any combat skills either, as just about every alien on the station can easily kill him. However, the intern does have the advantage of being able to use the station environment in order to outwit the aliens. Unfortunately, the aliens he has to deal with start out relatively stupid, but it's only a short time before the odds against his survival are stacked even higher. Professor Lupo features more than 100 levels, which means it has the luxury of easing players into the puzzles. On the other hand, players expecting a slow-paced adventure that they can solve in a leisurely fashion are also in for a surprise, as the game has a very action-packed feel. There are a few spots on each level where players can catch their breath and plan their next move, but generally the game demands quick thinking and an understanding of the aliens you're dealing with. All of the aliens in the game have distinctive behavioral patterns, which must be studied in order to deal with them safely. Fortunately, players can unlock extensive notes about all the creatures while playing, which will reveal everything from their taxonomy and anatomy to their perception, movement, diet, behavior, and morphology. While all this information might sound like overkill for a puzzle game, the entries are entertaining to read and packed with useful revelations. For example, the worm-like vermis cannot move backward, and trapping them in a dead end will effectively immobilize them, while Sagitta can't see while they're moving, which means they'll head for the last spot they saw you standing. Some enemies will chase you from afar, while others only notice you when you are close. You'll also find that certain enemies give up the chase if they lose sight of you, while others will pursue you no matter where you are. Don't even get us started on the Furax either, as these creatures, who look like a cross between dolphins and velociraptors, are smart enough to hunt in packs and flank you if you're not careful. The wide assortment of aliens, all of their own strengths and weaknesses, keep the game interesting as well as challenging right to the end. Since the intern is pretty defenseless against even the smallest alien creatures, it's good that the Aurora space station allows for creative ways to kill or at least thwart adversaries. Not only is it filled with narrow corridors, but doors are everywhere, and they can be operated using control panels. The various doors are color-coded, and to make things even more interesting, some are on timers when it comes to opening or closing them. Seeing as Professor Lupo is a bit of an evil scientist, the station is also filled with all kinds of other interesting gadgets. These range from poisonous gas and flamethrowers to pulsar, radiation, and infrared scanners. These can be used to your advantage, such as getting to the other side of an oxygen shower to mask your scent from a particularly aggressive alien. While humans are the top snack for most of the aliens, there are also some who prefer eating another alien species if they're in the same area. Finally, the vacuum of space can also be used to your advantage, provided you can make use of it without getting sucked out of an airlock yourself. We don't want to spoil anything, but in addition to dealing with the various aliens, the intern will also have to deal with the enemies who have boarded the station, and another deadly but very amusing opponent. With 5 chapters to complete, there are more than 10 hours of fun to be had in this game. It doesn't have to end there either, as the developers have included all kinds of extra challenges to sink your teeth into. Players can select any level they have previously completed, and then attempt to complete these additional challenges. Some levels feature a switch that can be activated to turn on hard mode, which typically changes something, like the speed of the aliens, to make things even trickier. Most levels also have optional collectibles that can be grabbed on the way to the exit. These collectibles, which include classic books, films, pieces of music and indie games, are usually placed in spots that expose players to much more danger than the straightforward route. Then there are the challenges that are unique to each level, such as killing or sparing certain enemies. Overall, this game is a mountain of content to keep players busy for ages. Apart from the Steam achievements, there's also a compelling in-game reason for getting to the coveted 100% completion, but we'll leave that up to players to discover themselves. Professor Lupo and his horrible pets uses an overhead isometric perspective for the visuals. While the art style favours a charming hand-drawn look, the balding intern is not exactly the most heroic figure we've ever seen in the game, but his look fits perfectly with his character. The aliens, on the other hand, all look adorable, until they reveal their true nature and transform into bloodthirsty killing machines. Although the game features quite a few gruesome ways for the intern to die, such as being eaten alive, crushed, or turned into a pile of bones, these deaths are more cartoony than gory. Since Aurora is a scientific space station, there's not much to look at, but aliens are the real stars of the game in any case, and not the environments. The game is a little light on visual options as well, with only the choice between windowed or full screen available, along with a selection of resolutions. The soundtrack for the game is good, as are the sound effects. We also like that the game uses full English voiceovers for all of the characters, which is not always the case in puzzle games. The game also allows players to independently adjust the music's volume, sound effects, and voice levels. The controls, which are quite important for a puzzle game, are intuitive, and the intern can be moved around using the WASD keys or simply pointing and clicking with your mouse. It is a bit annoying that the intern will plod along at a steady pace no matter what is chasing him, but his movement speed is part of the puzzle elements, so it's hard to criticize it too much. Overall, Professor Lupo and his horrible pets is a great puzzle game that can provide players with hours of entertainment. None of the puzzles are illogical or obscure, which allows everyone to progress through the game at a steady pace. The game also uses checkpoints on the larger levels to keep repetition to a minimum. Players searching for a greater challenge can try out the hard modes or aim for the optional objectives, so this is a game for everyone. The story is also surprisingly captivating for a puzzle game, and we look forward to seeing what new revelations the poor intern will face next on each level. We definitely had a blast with the game, and it's one of the few puzzle games that might even be able to draw in fans of action games because of its faster pace. So whether you're a fan of the genre, or simply looking for a humorous game that can keep you busy for ages, don't let Professor Lupo and his horrible pets slip under your radar. Thanks for joining me for this Professor Lupo and his horrible pets PC review. Remember to like, subscribe and share. Until next time.